2, 1.
Your Honors, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
This is a continuation of the public panel interview by the Judicial and Bar Council of candidates for the position of Legal Education Board Chairperson or regular member representing the Integrated Bar of the Philippines or as regular member representing the law students sector. The panel of interviewers for today will be the following. The Honorable Justice Jose Catral Mendoza, Chairperson of the Judicial and Bar Council Executive Committee and regular member representing the retired members of the Supreme Court. The Honorable Judge Toribio E. Ilaw Jr., regular member representing the private sector. The Honorable Justice Noel Jimenez Tiham, regular member representing the Academe. And the Honorable Judge Franklin J. de Monteverde, regular member representing the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. The candidates for interview this morning are the following. Ms. Patricia, Angela, and Javier, who is vying for the position of regular member representing the law students sector, and Attorney Salex Alibugha as regular member representing the ranks of the active law practitioners. May I request the candidates to please raise your right hand so that I can administer the oath? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this public panel interview by the Judicial and Bar Council?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
So help you God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honors, the first for interview this morning is Ms. Patricia, Angela, and Javier. And the first to interview the candidates will be the Honorable Judge Franklin J. de Monteverde. Judge de Monteverde, sir.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Ed.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Patricia Javier.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Your name rings a bell, no? I thought for a while that I will be interviewing the actress, Patricia Javier. So, from where are you?
Your Honor, I'm from Manila.
From Manila, and then you are a full-time student?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm a full-time student.
Was there ever an instance that you had worked for in the past?
Your Honor, when I was an undergrad, I took up an internship in a private company, Your Honor.
Okay. So that was merely an internship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then after you graduated sa pre-law, you never did work for any organization or any company?
No, Your Honor, I decided to become a full-time student, full-time law student instead, Your Honor.
Okay. Oh, when are you going to graduate?
Your Honor, I will be graduating 2022.
2022. Okay, good. 2022. Okay, so you are a full-time student. So unlike other applicants who are working while studying, you devote your time studying for the bar, for law, and eventually for the bar exams. Now,
Yes,
aside from your time, what other things can you share to the Legal Education Board should you ever be appointed to compensate for your lack of professional and working experience?
Your Honor, although I lack professional or work experience in my undergrad, I was active in several organizations, and from there, and also in my undergrad course, Your Honor, I was able to hone my research and writing skills, and I think this is a very important skill to have as a representative of the law student sector under the Legal Education Board, where we would be developing policies, we would undertake reforms in the legal education. And because of my research skills, which I was able to hone in my undergrad, I am I think I am well equipped and I would be able to contribute as much to the Legal Education Board despite my lack of professional experience. And even if um, I lack work experience, I was still able to, apart from my research skills, I was also able to hold my communication skills as well when I was an undergrad, given my several organizations. And I think that this would be of use to the Legal Education Board because then I would be able to, it would be easy for me and it would be feasible for me to talk to different, for example, different law schools and to communicate also with different students, especially those in not just students from schools in Manila, but also from students in different areas, Your Honor.
So, as a young student of law, how do you see the use of social media platforms as an innovative tool for legal education? Will you advocate for the use of it in law schools, and how?
Yes, Your Honor. Given this pandemic, there was an abrupt shift to online learning, and I think that it was, although it was difficult, I think that it was still beneficial because we were able to, although it was difficult to have physical seminars, several, for example, there were several programs in the Legal Education Board which were done online. And I think that it was also, and because it was done online, the reach was far, there was a far reach in terms of the audience. And I think social media can help in terms of tapping different areas so that the programs, activities, and also there would be open communication with different law schools and their inputs, their problem areas, and the solutions that we could have, the solutions that I can propose as a member of the Legal Education Board if I am chosen, um, would also would also be appropriate for not just for schools in Manila but also for schools outside Manila, Your Honor.
So, other than social media platforms, how could the Legal Education Board maximize the use of technology? Is there a possibility that it could be integrated into the legal education curriculum?
I think, Your Honor, it could be a possibility. There can be a possibility that technology, for example, Zoom platforms, can be integrated in the legal education, especially, for example, when there are circumstances that would hinder a physical class. And at least if technology is integrated into education, um, for example, a law professor or the law students would easily adjust so should there be circumstances that prevent physical classes, Your Honor. And also even events, even programs can be done online, Your Honor.
Okay, let's shift to another subject for a while.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were medically certified to be Class B, meaning you are physically undeveloped or with correctable defects. Does
Yes,
this affect your work as a student?
no, Your Honor. When I actually asked my doctor what would that mean, but it only means that I'm a little, for example, I'm too small for my height, for my age.
How tall are you?
Your Honor, I'm 4'11".
4'11". Okay. And
So,
your weight?
I'm around 42 kilos, Your Honor.
42 in pounds. That would be about more or less 100 or 90.
Around 90 or
Okay.
95, Your Honor. So it
Okay.
doesn't necessarily affect my work. It doesn't hinder, for example, I can still work long hours, so it's not a problem in terms of work or even in my academics, Your Honor.
Okay. How about in work in the future? Will that be a problem to you?
Your Honor, I don't think it would be a problem. And ever since, also, Your Honor, ever since the pandemic started, I've taken a more conscious initiative in taking care of my health. And so I don't think it would be a problem in the future, in terms of future work, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Patricia,
Yes, Your Honor.
legal ethics is one of the subject matters of the bar exam. And lawyers also have to periodically attend the MCLE, which also features legal ethics as one of the subject matters. Are these enough to make lawyers ethical? Your take on this?
Um, Your Honor,
Enough
I
ba
think
ang study of legal ethics or inborn ito or ingrained sa personality ng character ng isang tao?
No, Your Honor, I don't think that it would be in. Well, I think that character also has a part to play in the ethics, in legal ethics. But also, I think apart from learning, I think that's also one important factor. You have to be able to know the do's and don'ts in the legal profession. I also think that this could be because I think that legal education should not just be about learning concepts, learning the legal rules. I think it should also be about um, applying what we know. And so I think that these rules in legal ethics, I think these can also be learned through practice-oriented courses. Like for example, there could be um, specific courses, for example, that teach, for example, the decorum in before, for example, a court, Your Honor. So I don't think that this should stop merely on learning what the rules are, Your Honor.
Do you think that the 5% allotted to the subject of legal ethics in the bar enough compared to the other subjects? Yan ang pinakamababa in terms of percentage, ang legal ethics.
I think, Your Honor, in terms of the bar, I think the percentage of legal ethics is enough. But I think that the improvement of, or in terms of infusing in law students or in lawyers the ethics of the legal profession would go into the legal education itself, Your Honor.
So what are your short and long-term programs for the lab represent as representative of the law student sector? Should you
So
ever be appointed?
Um, so, Your Honor, my short-term plans, if ever, would be um, my plans for the Legal Education Board is should I be appointed as the representative for the law student sector. One of the main problems that I see is the lack of communication or the difficulty in communicating with other law schools other than those in Manila. So I would advocate for an open communication. For example, the Legal Education Board could, for example, could tap the student councils of the different law schools, and there would be, for example, regular forums, regular open forums with the students, not just the with the students of different law schools, which can be, and the problem is sometimes the students do not are not aware of the programs of the Legal Education Board. They're not really informed of what the Legal Education Board has to, for example, offer for students. So I think that's when the student council would be able to come in. So it's important to have an open communication with them, and the student councils would then talk about the projects to their constituents in that regard, so that the constituents would be able to attend, or if they're interested in the projects. Other Another suggestion, other plan that I would want is to have more
That's for the
scholarship programs.
short term yan or long term?
Short term, in a sense that right now the plan is to tap the different. I plan, if ever, to tap the different student councils, but also for long term, there should be continuous. I plan that there would be continuous and open communications with the students for in conducting, for
Mhm.
example, continuous like regular forums, Your Honor, and also another short-term plan is what I noticed is that because of the pandemic, a lot of students were unable to, they had to either defer or they had to um, stop their legal education because they were not able to, because of financial constraints, Your Honor. So I think that a short-term project would be to have scholarship programs under the Legal Education Board, which would be needs based. And the long term is to have scholarship programs under the Legal Education Board, which would be both needs based and merits based, so that a lot of students would be able to avail of the scholarship programs. And also um, long term another long term plan that I envision would be to have regular uh, debates. For example, the Legal Education Board could pioneer or could spearhead debates in terms of policy making, or in terms of certain aspects which would be relevant given the developments in law, which would specifically affect students. I think that it's important also to have the input of other law students as well when it comes to policy making.
What about reforms? Do you have some
One one thing that I would propose to the LEB would be, for example, there should be a shift in not just. I think that it should be, Your Honor,
such
because
as what
sometimes,
courses? Such as what courses?
for example, Your Honor, I think that, or for not um, should not be just a focus on the Socratic method, Your Honor, asking them to write, requiring them to write legal papers. For example, that it would have been good to us better if we were asked would also be able to improve writing skills, Your Honor.
Continuing legal education as one of of the Legal Education Board. Continuing Legal Education, or MCLE. You allow it to continue. Of the board is to adopt a system for continuing legal education. Supreme Court's MCLE, or mandatory continuing legal education. Is there any powers of the LEB?
Your Honor, I think that, for example, the admission to the bar or the integrated bar and the legal assistance to the underprivileged by the Supreme Court. I think that as of now, the Legal Education Board.
But you have not answered my question. What do you intend to do concerning the mandatory continuing legal education? Is there a need for you to provision?
Your Honor, then I think that although the Supreme Court has that power, I don't think that as of now, I don't think instead
The provision of the Legal Education
yes,
Board, the powers
the
to
that
adopt a
specific
system.
yes, Your Honor. I think that um, personally, since the Supreme Court has that power, then I think that we would have to defer to the power of the Supreme Court, Your Honor.
You mean to say that you will be proposing to the court for its revocation or for its deletion as part of the powers of the LEB. Is that it? Since the Supreme Court has already ruled on the issue.
Yes, Your Honor. I think I would propose on that. But in case, yes, Your
Your
Honor.
point of view lang.
Yes, Your
Yung
Honor.
kwan mo lang.
Yes, Your Honor. Since I think
Uh,
that it falls within the mandate of the Supreme Court, Your Honor, the Legal Education Board should not have that power, and so the provision. I think I would propose to strike it down, Your Honor.
okay. The Supreme Court in 2019 ruled on the constitutionality of the Philippine Law School admission test, which is PhilSat, in Pimentel versus Leb and Abayata versus Medial Dia and Leb. What are your thoughts about this?
The main one of the points that the Supreme Court discussed was that the provision which states that no student should be admitted if the student does not pass the PhilSat, and the Supreme Court ruled that that would be encroaching on the academic freedom of a law school on determining who to admit. And in that in that light, Your Honor, I would have to agree with the ruling of the Supreme Court. But I think since the Supreme Court ruled that the PhilSat is still constitutional and valid as an exercise of police power, since it would function as a minimum admission standard where um, law schools would be able to measure the academic potential of their examinee to pursue the study of law to the end that the quality of legal education will be improved. In that regard, I think that the PhilSat can still be used as a as that kind of measure, Your Honor. So although I do agree that imposing a passing score, an outright passing score, and that denying admission for other students or having or only conditionally admitting students who have failed the PhilSat would already be in excess of the authority of the LEB and would already encroach on the academic freedom of a law school. So but I think that having and imposing a national aptitude exam would still be a good measure as a minimum standard for a law school to determine the academic um, potential of a prospective law student. But I think that that should not be the only um, that should not be the only factor that a law school should consider in accepting or in admitting a law student, Your Honor.
Do you agree with the decision of the Supreme Court in that case?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree with the decision of the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court in that case did not rule that the PhilSat should not be administered. I do agree that the PhilSat is a good measure of it could be it is a good measure or a minimum standard which can be imposed by the LEB, Your Honor.
Okay, last question, Patricia.
Yes, Your Honor.
What is your philosophy of legal education?
Your Honor, my philosophy of legal education is that it should not be confined to mere knowledge of the legal rules. I think that the legal education should also lead students to be able to know how to practice what they have learned, practice what they know, and apply their legal studies. I think that legal education should already incorporate possible avenues where a student can apply what he has already learned, and this should already be incorporated in the legal education. It shouldn't I believe that it shouldn't just be, for example, an extracurricular activity. I think that the student should be already I think that it should be in imbued in the education of the student itself, Your Honor.
Okay, Patricia, that was my last question. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Honorable Judge De Monteverde.
Thank you, Attorney Tally.
Next to interview the candidate is Honorable Justice Noel Jimenez Tiham.
Thank you, Attorney Tally. Good morning, Patricia.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Do you think you can work well
with the other members of the Legal Education Board who are accomplished lawyers and probably retired law practitioners or retired magistrates, considering that you're diminutive and you said you're a little bit underweight. Are you not afraid they might boss you around in the Legal Education Board?
Your Honor, I think that even if I would be working with retired magistrates, I would still be able to work well with them, Your Honor, because in my previous experience when I was interning for a private company, I was under the Human Resources Department, Your Honor, and so and one of the projects was to, one of my tasks was also to communicate with other departments of the company, and not just other departments but also higher ranking employees of that company, Your Honor. So I already have experience in terms of working with more accomplished individuals, Your Honor. And it's not difficult for me to adjust to them because actually, rather than being intimidated, it's actually very inspiring and it motivates me to work well since I am in the presence of very accomplished individuals as well, Your Honor.
We are impressed by the number of applicants to represent the student sector. All of them are, including yourself, are eminently qualified. Uh, in your opinion, since the applicants come from different places in the country, should this position be rotated among representatives, or probably if somebody is chosen to represent the student sector in Luzon, the next time it should be the Visayas, and the next time it should be the Mindanao, or the other way around?
Your Honor, I think that imposing a rotation scheme for a representative of the law student sector might be difficult. I think that the representative of the law student sector still has to be decided on the basis of merit and on the basis of, for example, their competency to represent the law student sector, Your Honor. And I think that in terms of although that would be desirable, since it would be nice to have perspectives from different for example, different law schools or from different areas in the Philippines. I think that that can be addressed by having open communication instead with the different law schools and continuous communication, so that we would still have um, a more holistic or a more cohesive for example, proposal for reform, Your Honor.
Now, in your case, if you are appointed to the board to represent the student sector, what specific things will you do to be considered to be truly representative of the student sector? Because you come from Metro Manila, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what specific things will you do?
Your Honor, I one of the things that I would like to propose if I were to be appointed as the representative for the law student sector is to have, for example, Your Honor, um, my proposal is to have open and continuous communication with the different law schools. And for that, I propose that we tap the different, for example, student councils of the different law schools, or like a representative of a law school, so that it would be easier for the legal education board to reach out to the different law schools. And with that representative would then have the responsibility of um, talking to the talking to the constituents and talking to the people that he would represent. And also, I um, I think it's already being done where there would be the legal education board would visit different law schools. And I think since there's an ongoing pandemic, one way that we could address that is to have regular open forums, which could be done online through Zoom or through other online platforms, Your Honor.
All right. Uh, Lawyers and law students like yourself, who will soon become lawyers, are supposed to respect the Constitution, respect the law, and respect the decisions of the Supreme Court. In your opinion, purely for academic discussion, Republic Act 7662 provides that legal education in the Philippines shall be geared towards the attainment of the following objectives. Okay? The mandatory continuing legal education of lawyers, is that not part of legal education, in your opinion?
Uh, in my
Uh,
opinion, Your Honor,
there are no right and wrong answers here.
okay.
Strictly
In
speaking, in your opinion, is that not part of legal education?
Your Honor, in my opinion, I do believe that it is part of legal education, and I think that um, learning does not stop when one becomes a lawyer, and so legal education, I think, would still encompass that system of continuing legal education, Your Honor.
Having said that, should that not properly pertain to the Legal Education Board since it is part of legal education?
In my opinion, Your Honor, since the Supreme Court has the power to regulate, for example, the admission um, to the bar, the integrated bar, and since the concept of continuing legal education would already pertain to lawyers, I think that it was not. I think that the mandate of the Legal Education Board would be instead the study of the law, which pertains, for example, to law students, Your Honor. Because I think that when one has already the continuing legal education would pertain to those who are already lawyers, Your Honor, and I think that the Supreme Court would have um, power to regulate that, Your Honor.
So, in layman's term, because this interview is will be shown on YouTube to the public, who may include non-lawyers. In layman's term, when does the authority and jurisdiction of the Legal Education Board commence, and where or when does it end? In your own words, in layman's term.
In my own words, Your Honor, the jurisdiction of the Legal Education Board would commence in in terms of the admission or the admission process of a law student into legal education, and it would end, in my opinion, in my own words, Your Honor, when the student has already passed the bar examinations, has signed the roll of attorneys, and has already given a license to practice law, Your Honor. So it
So,
would end when the law
after
student.
graduation or after passing the bar?
I think, Your Honor, it would be the jurisdiction of the Legal Education Board would end when the student has already graduated, because under the Constitution, the Supreme Court would be the one promulgating the rules on the admission to the bar, Your Honor, and to the integrated bar, to the admission to the practice of law and to the integrated bar, Your Honor.
So, in layman's term, for non-lawyers, the Legal Education Board governs law students, whereas the Supreme Court governs principally admission to the law and lawyers. That would be the dividing line in layman's term.
Yes, Your Honor, in layman's term, that
Then
would
why
be the
is it,
dividing.
explain to me, why is it that the Supreme Court came out with the rule on law student practice? Is that not an encroachment of the powers of the Legal Education Board?
No, Your Honor, because in that case, the law student is already practicing law, Your Honor. So, um, actually, Your Honor, if I may um, alter my previous answer, it would be that the Supreme Court would already govern the instances where there is already a practice of law and the student is already, for example, for example, taking on a client, taking on a formal case, Your Honor, then in that case, the Supreme Court would have jurisdiction over that, Your Honor.
Justice Tiham? Justice Tiham was disconnected. Maybe wait a while, or Judge Ilaw, should we wait or would you like to start?
Yes, Attorney Mitchell. Can
Yes,
we wait
Judge.
for
Okay,
Justice Tiam? It will be
okay pa, Judge.
matatapos na rin naman siya.
Ms. Xavier, please stand by. We'll try to contact Justice Tiham.
Yes po.
All right, Michelle, it may
Yes, Judge.
take for a while. Can I start?
Yes po, Judge.
Naantok na ako eh. Ano. Yes,
Your Honor,
thank you,
Your Honor,
Tony Michelle. Tolitali, nakatawa na naman to si Michael Blade. Oh.
Judge, sorry. Um,
Yes,
to
Miss
formally,
Patricia.
sorry, Judge, to formally introduce the next interviewer, Honorable Judge Toribio E. Ilaw Jr. for Miss Javier. Your Honor.
Yes, thank you, Tony Tali. Yes, good morning, Miss Patricia. Wow.
Good morning.
Morning. Really quite impressive. Even your records, the way you talk, well, no such inferiority. I really admire you. Miss Patricia Angela Nicasio Javier. So, okay, 30 seconds reprieve ng ano. Can relax. Chill muna. Chill.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Quite young. You are only 23 years old. You were
Yes, Your
born on February 16, so 1997. And even your educational. So you're a graduate of USA, they call it, Colegio de San Agustin, USA, University of San Agustin. It's different from USA, University of San Agustin.
Yes, Your Honor, it's different. I study in Colegio San Agustin. I don't think it's affiliated with the University of San Agustin, Your Honor.
Okay. So, no offense, I hope you won't mind. What's your story, Patricia?
Yes, Your Honor. My story, Your Honor, is that I lived in a very, I lived in a sort of poor community, Your Honor, in Pandacan, Manila. Yes, Your Honor. That's where I grew up,
Pandacan?
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. I grew up in Pandacan, Manila, Your Honor. And growing up, Your Honor, I was exposed to, since I studied in Colegio San Agustin, which is a private school, it's very different from the community that I would go home to after school, Your Honor. And so,
Why are you laughing? Because I grew up in Pandacan since birth.
Oh,
Ano, not since birth. Ano. We migrated here in Pandacan in 1952. In what particular place in Pandacan did you grow up?
Dapo Street,
Dapo.
Pandacan, Your Honor. Yes, Your
Oh,
Honor.
fronting the barangay housing project.
Yes, Your
Dapo.
Honor.
But you were born in Mandaluyong.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mandaluyong. So your mother's family name is Javier. And even your PDS, you didn't indicate the name of your father. No
Yes, Your
offense.
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Mm.
I didn't.
And because Javier, do you know that Boni Avenue came from the former mayor of Mandaluyong, Boni Javier?
I did not. I did not know that, Your Honor.
And also remembering the trivia for, natatawa ko, tiga Dapu ka pala. Anyway, remembering David and Goliath, di ba? You mentioned that your height is only 4'11", and
Yes, Your Honor.
underweight. Tagal. Don't you know that Goliath died? In what manner did he die?
Um, Um, if I'm not mistaken, Your Honor, he died because he was hit in the forehead by I think by a stone, Your Honor, which was I think thrown by David, Your Honor. And then after
So,
that, when he fell, he was beheaded by David, Your Honor.
so he got stoned.
Yes, Your Honor.
So would you believe that even before the birth of Christ, drugs had already been proliferated? Because Goliath was stoned na bato. In street parlance, binat na bato. Alright, you are also a
Si Stone
management
na ba 'to?
engineering. Tawa na tayo.
Ay, bukas ba yung aking audio? Sorry.
Anyway, hindi na natin lang konting ano lang. You are a management engineering or ME graduate. Is it true that ME graduates are offered six-figure salaries fresh out of college?
Uh, no, Your Honor. Well, I decided to go into law school immediately after I graduated, but from the stories of my friends who are also ME graduates, it was also difficult for them to be able to find a job, Your Honor. So it's not really automatic that once you're an ME graduate, you would be offered six figures, Your Honor. I think it's more of the ME graduates who were really for example, they already interned under that company, Your Honor, or they joined, for example, a leadership program of that company, Your Honor. But it's not really limited to ME graduates, Your Honor.
Because it's a rare course that
Yes.
even one applicant also had have an impressive credentials. Mentioned that Bam Aquino was his or her classmate. Bam Aquino.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. In your application letter, you stated that through active involvement in different organizations in Ateneo, you were able to develop your interpersonal and communication skills. And you continued my role as a fund management deputy of Blue Consulting Group and as a finance and marketing deputy of council of organization of Ateneo required me to coordinate with organization's different departments. That is for fixing budget plans and project deadlines in several companies. speaks of more of an economic side or the project of the company. Uh, all right. Can you cite a specific instance which you have inspired to move your fellow law students to do and be better in terms of academics or social responsibility? Yes, Patricia.
In terms of academics, Your Honor, for example, in our block, Your Honor, we um I always have this habit when I'm attending classes to make sure that I take down notes, Your Honor. It also apart from keeping me engaged in class, it also helps me remember what I have learned in that class in my own words. And aside from taking down notes, Your Honor, I also share this with my blockmates, um, Your Honor, and I share it to everyone regardless of whether they're my close friend or not. And after that, after I started doing that, Your Honor, a lot of my blockmates would also take down notes without anyone else asking them to take down notes. Even in all subjects we would have, for example, Your Honor, like a class reviewer. And apart from that, and a lot of my blockmates, Your Honor, not just a lot of them do contribute to that class notes reviewer, Your Honor. And it has really helped us. For example, there are times that where for example, one person who's taking down notes was not able to catch everything which the professor had said. Luckily, another person who was also taking down notes was able to take down notes on what the professor was saying. And I think that's one thing that I was able to spearhead with my blockmates, Your Honor, in terms of their academics, Your Honor.
Do you consider yourself a leader?
Yes, Your Honor. I consider myself a leader.
And can you describe your leadership style?
My leadership style, Your Honor, I think that apart from leading people, I think it's also important to know what your constituents need, what are the problem areas. So as a leader, I value very much open communication with my constituents. I think it's important that we would have continuous, not just open, but also continuous communication. So I value very much feedback, Your Honor, as a leader. And I think that, for example, after every activity, after every project, there should always be a feedback process or a feedback mechanism so that in the future, the project could be well improved and could be improved and could be more appropriate, Your Honor.
All right, in brief, what again are changes you would like to introduce into our legal education system, if and when you are nominated, appointed? That's beginning with the integration. What do you mean by the integration of technology?
Yes, Your Honor. I propose as a reform to the legal education system that there would be an integration of, for example, technology in the legal education itself, not just because um, for example, in the pandemic, it was very difficult for a lot to adjust to the online setting. So I think that it should already be, for example, incorporated, like for example, activity. Although classroom in the classroom setting, there would be, for example, discussions by the professor and the recitations. I think that online platforms could also be used, for example, conducting debate activities and also, for example, other asynchronous activities that could be conducted, Your Honor. For example, it would become difficult for the student or for the professor to have physical classes. I think that it would be good to integrate, for example, the online setting could have, for example, asynchronous activities that would focus on applying what the student has learned. So that and because I think as per experience, it is difficult to learn um, the law online. So I think that the online platform could be used for activities in terms of application, Your Honor.
All right. Do you think joining debates and moot court competitions to be helpful for legal education or legal education or legal practice?
Yes, Your Honor. I do think that joining debate activities and moot court is beneficial for a student because it allows him to acquire certain skills required of lawyers. For example, it's important that lawyers are able to think on their feet. For example, when they're presented with a certain problem and for example, a client is consulting with the lawyer has to be able to provide his client with a specific, for example, answer. So I think that having debate activities and having moot court activities would be able to enhance that kind of skill in a law student. And also, um, one of the benefits of having, for example, debate activities or moot activities is that the writing skill in terms of, for example, legal writing of a student, the skill of legal writing would be greatly improved because they're able to apply the law and they're able to um, apply what they have learned in their classes, Your Honor.
That there are several applicants vying for the position of the representing the legal education board representing the law students. The competition seems to be fierce. Do you consider yourself more qualified than other applicants?
I think, Your Honor, I would consider myself as, I think, equally qualified as the other applicants. I may not be aware of the others' skills or particular skills of the applicants. I do think that because they are applying, they are aware that they have at least the requisite skills in order to be able to perform their job well. And I think that when they applied, they had a rational basis in mind. But in my for me, Your Honor, I think that even though I'm equally qualified, I would still have a lot to bring to the legal education board in terms of ideas, in terms of work ethic, Your Honor. I think that's also an important factor to consider. And so I think that um, like for me, I think that I am very much strong in terms of communication skills, and I think that I would, although we are equally qualified, I think that I am also very much, there are aspects that I am very much strong in, and that would be beneficial for the legal education board, Your Honor.
What do you think sets you apart from them,
I think, Your Honor, what sets me apart from the other
other applicants?
applicants would be that I have strong interpersonal and communication skills, and not just in terms of and not just with other law students, and not just with, for example, and this encompasses also students coming from different walks of life. As I myself, Your Honor, I come from a very a different background as opposed to the students that I, for example, study with when I since I was in grade school, going to and until I was in college, Your Honor. So I think that, and also it's since I already took up an internship in a private company, I also know how to communicate with more accomplished individuals, and I also know how to work well with them. I think that um, I can work well in a team and I can contribute a lot, Your Honor.
By the way, what are the rights of students in school?
I think that a student, Your Honor, has a right to a quality education, Your Honor. I think that a student would also, I think that a student would also has the right to academic freedom, Your Honor. And so, um, since a school has, for example, academic freedom to decide for example, the academic and admission requirements of a student, the student, this should be applied um, meticulously, Your Honor, and a student should still have the academic freedom, for example, to express, for example, the student still has the right to attend, for example, dissent. The student still has the right to free speech, Your Honor, and I think that academic freedom is not of a school or a law professor is not to be exercised so as to prohibit, for example, or the right of a student to express or to dissent or to um, also apply what the student has learned, Your Honor, in terms of actions, Your Honor.
Basically, students have the right to receive primarily through competent instruction,
Yes, Your Honor.
relevant quality education.
Yes.
Let's start with that. The right to freely choose their field of study subject to existing curricula and to continue their course therein up to graduation. This is in accordance with the BP Bill 232 or Education Act of 1982. All right, what are your thoughts again on the online clinical legal education program?
Your Honor, I think that the online clinical legal education program is a good way for online platforms to be integrated in the legal education system. I think that for example, there are like for this pandemic, there were situations that it was difficult for students to continue that course because they were unable to physically go into classes. And so having an online program for that course, Your Honor, would greatly help students continue their education. And even if there are circumstances which prevent them from physically attending that course, they can still have the option of doing that online, Your Honor.
What is the value of the legal education board to legal education?
The value of the Legal Education Board, Your Honor, as provided in the Republic Act number 7662, is to uplift the standards of legal education and also to undertake the appropriate reforms in the legal education system. So that's, I think, is the value of the Legal Education Board because it can propose reforms in accordance with the developments of law and also with the development in society. Like, for example, um, the advent of technology, Your Honor. I think that that's where the Legal Education Board comes in. It incorporates in the legal education system these developments, Your Honor.
And how will you help prepare your fellow law students for advocacy, counseling, problem solving, and decision making?
Your Honor, as if I were to be elected as a representative of the law student sector, I would propose to the Legal Education Board to have more student activities which are centered on applying what they have learned. For example, I would propose that the Legal Education Board would sponsor, for example, a national congress or for example, a debate program which could be conducted regularly. And so students would be able to apply what they have learned um, and the legal education board as well would be able to learn from these students, from the activities that we conduct for the students, because there would also be, for example, feedback mechanisms that I would propose for each project that the legal education board would undertake, Your Honor.
All right, Patricia, can I give you a riddle question? And listen, this is going to be my last one.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, a man is trapped in a room. The room has only two possible exits, two doors. Through the first door, there is a room constructed from magnifying glass. The blazing hot sun instantly fries anything or anyone that enters. Through the second door, there is a fire-breathing dragon. How does the man escape? Let's see your analytical answer to the question or to the riddle.
I think, Your Honor, in order for the man to escape, since you mentioned um, that in the first door, there's a magnifying glass, and the sun would fry anything or anyone that enters. So I think the man would just wait until nighttime or when the sun goes down, Your Honor, and then we would go to the through the first door, because through the second door I don't think the man would be able to escape.
Why so? Why choose nighttime?
Because Your Honor, the sun would go down after at a specific hour in the day, and at nighttime it would be there would no longer be the it at nighttime the sun is no longer there, so the man would be able to escape, Your Honor, I think.
All right, thank you, Patricia. But at present, you're residing in what place? Where? No
At
longer
present,
in Pandacan.
Your Honor, although our permanent residence is still in Pandacan, I'm currently residing at the house of my tito for school because the internet connection here is better, Your Honor.
You mean to say you're
In
still living in
Parañaque.
Pandacan?
That's our permanent
In
residence, Your Honor.
Paranaque.
Yes, Your Honor. But currently I'm in Parañaque, Your Honor, at my tito's house.
Pareho tayong pandak, tiga Pandacan. Ano, thank you. Tama na naman si Atty. Tali. Yes, thank you for your time, Patricia, and good luck to your journey.
Thank
Hope
you very
that
much, Your
you can
Honor.
make it. All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Atty.
Thank you, Honorable Judge Ilaw.
Attorney
Uh,
Dali,
yes.
Justice Tiham has yet to reconnect, so we can proceed with Justice Mendoza. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Michelle. Next to interview the candidate
Wala pa
is
si Justice Tiang.
Wala pa po, Justice. Trying to reconnect pa po.
Yeah, oo. It happened to me last week. Brown out, pati wifi patay. Oo. Last week, last Monday. Pero yung cellphone niya, data, siguro pwedeng gamitin niya. That's what I used last Monday.
Opo, Justice. We've suggested that also po.
Oo. Sige.
when you're ready. Next to
I'm
interview
ready.
the candidate is Honorable Justice Jose Catral Mendoza.
Thank you very much, Attorney Tali. Good morning, Ms. Javier.
Good morning, Your Honor.
You grew up single. You were brought up by one parent because your father is you did not mention any father.
Yes, Your Honor. I grew up. My mom raised me alone, Your Honor. So I'd never met my father, Your Honor.
I see. Okay lang. And you have reached you have reached Ateneo and UP. You have read the case of Pimentel versus LEB, I suppose.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Oh, you have read even the separate opinions of the other justices.
Yes, Your Honor.
Separate opinions. So, the decision is not yet final up to now. It was promulgated September 2019, but up to now they could not agree how to resolve the motions for reconsideration. So, so this will not prejudice you. It will not be taken against you. Do you agree with the main decision or with uh, some or one of the separate opinion?
Your Honor, I agree with the main decision of the Supreme Court, Your Honor. The Supreme Court explained in the case that the Supreme Court explained that the issuance of the Legal Education Board in terms of having the PhilSat as a requirement for admission to law schools, I do agree that that would encroach on the academic freedom of the law school in terms of who to admit in its institution, Your Honor.
Yes. Uh, in everything, you agree on everything. How about the separate opinion of Justice Esmundo?
Um, uh,
You said you read that,
yes,
the
Your Honor.
separate opinions.
Um, in the decision of the court, it made a
He also
comparison.
agreed with the main decisions and
Yes, Your
some
Honor.
points, but made additional observations. What are those?
Uh, sorry, Your Honor.
You remember?
I remember from the separate opinion of Justice Esmundo, Your Honor, that he disagreed that the NMAT and the LSAT were comparable. Because in the decision of the court, Your
Yes,
Honor,
it's also in the main decision.
yes, Your Honor.
Mention something that not something not covered in the main decision. How about being deleb under the Supreme Court? Do you remember what he wrote?
Justice Esmundo, Your Honor.
Yes, you remember what he wrote?
Uh, um, from from what I remember, Your Honor, Justice Esmundo uh, dissented, and Justice Esmundo said that it would,
He dissented or just
in terms
merely
of
express his opinion or observation?
um, I remember that Justice Esmundo first said that he discussed that the Supreme Court that the ponencia stated that the rulemaking power of the Supreme Court would only cover the practice of law, and it should not be um, widened in order to cover the study of law. And in that regard, I think that Justice Esmundo dissented. Um, Justice Esmundo said that it would be
You you
impossible.
you use the word dissent. Uh, he dissented from what in the main decision? What was written in the main decision which he dissented
In the main
against?
decision, Your Honor, the Supreme Court ruled that the rulemaking power of the Supreme Court would only cover the practice of law and not the study of law. And
Yeah,
in that
and he
regard,
dissented. You said
yes, Your
he
Honor.
dissented. Uh,
Thus,
why did he
um,
dissent? And what was the reason therefore?
Justice Hismundo dissented and said that it would be impossible to separate the interest of the Supreme Court and also the law school with respect to legal education. So the Justice Hismundo was saying that the study of law is affected and it's not separate from the rulemaking power of the court, Your Honor.
Okay.
For example,
The there are bills pending in Congress wh- wherein it has been proposed that the LEB be under the Supreme Court instead of the CHED or Department of Education. What can you say about this?
I think, Your Honor, that the Legal Education Board should still be under the Commission on Higher Education and not the Supreme Court, Your Honor. Because I think that um, the um, the power of the Supreme Court in terms of in this regard, I agree with the decision of the ponencia in the case of Pimentel versus the Legal Education Board, in that the the authority of the Supreme Court would be on the practice of law, Your Honor, and the study of law would still remain with the Legal Education Board, and I think that it should still be under the Commission on Higher Education instead, Your Honor, because it would because as explained by the ponensya in the case, the study of law is different, and the aspects of the practice of law would still be different from the study of the law itself.
Are you saying that the Supreme Court is incompetent to regulate, supervise the legal education?
No, Your Honor, I'm not saying that the Supreme Court is incompetent, but instead, what I'm saying is that the study of law would be more appropriate would be more appropriately governed by the Commission on Higher Education, which focuses on education itself, Your Honor.
Education.
Yes, Your Honor.
So isn't it that the law schools, almost all law schools, are preparing their students to pass the bar and be admitted as a member of the bar?
Yes, Your Honor. Law schools are preparing their students to um, take the bar exam, but I think that legal education is not just about taking the bar exam. It also encompasses other. It's not just about passing the bar examination, Your Honor. Law schools are supposed to also um, teach their students how to exercise creative thinking, and it's not just about passing the bar, Your Honor.
So if it's just creative thinking, the Supreme Court can also do that. It,
Um, I think because, Your Honor, legal education,
it is just supervising the schools. Uh, the legal the LEB will still supervise the schools. It's only that the LBC should be under the Supreme Court. Yun lang naman. The Supreme Court will not supervise the schools. There is an LEB. It will just supervise, the LEB will supervise the schools. Oh,
in that regard, Your Honor, and it was also, I think, discussed in the ponensya that because the LEB, as a policy-making body, I think that it would, since it also introduces, for example, reforms in the legal education system, in that regard, the court should not delve into political questions, Your Honor. So I think that's why the ponential rule that the legal education board should not fall under the Supreme Court but should still remain under CHED, Your Honor.
under the executive. Okay. In Pimentel, it was stated that the state, in the exercise of its reasonable supervision and regulation over education, can only impose minimum regulation. Now, what is your understanding of this minimum regulation?
This the concept of imposing just minimum standards and minimum regulations is so that um, the state does not encroach on the academic freedom of institutions of higher learning. I think that the institutions, the programs, or the curriculum, or the other aspects should still be in the discretion of the law school, Your Honor, since it is more equipped with knowing the
Yes, it
um,
falls under what may be taught, right?
yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Oh, what is covered by this minimum regulations? If you cannot, if academic freedom encompasses who may teach, what may be taught, how it shall be taught, and who to admit. Now,
Um,
what is this minimum regulation?
I think, Your Honor, the
Ano pa
state
natitira?
the state can still impose minimum standards and minimum
Yes, that's what
guidelines
I'm
for
asking.
schools.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, Your Honor. And this
Yes.
could also
That
encompass
is,
the
uh, but it should not transgress the academic
yes,
freedom
yes,
of
Your
the
Honor.
schools, right? Oh,
Yes, Your Honor.
now what do you think uh, uh, can be imposed by the LEB without transgressing academic freedom?
Um, as a, Your Honor, I think that imposing a national aptitude exam is well within the power of the Legal Education Board, and it could serve as a minimum standard, and the
Serve
academic
as a
freedom of the
minimum, will serve as a minimum standard. What do you mean by that?
for example, Your Honor, the questions that would be there, that would be included in the national aptitude exam would help a law school, for example, assess whether a student should be admitted, which is why the law school should have the discretion under their academic freedom to determine how they would assess a student in terms of the national aptitude exam. And so that's why there should not be, for example, a minimum, there should not be a strict passing grade that should be imposed by the Legal Education Board where a student
Yeah,
who goes
yes, you
below,
mentioned a
yes,
minimum passing grade. What do you mean? What did you mean by that?
no, Your Honor, I was saying that the Legal Education Board should not impose
Should
um,
not impose.
up a specific passing grade where any student who goes below cannot be admitted into the law school. I think that the law
Yes, is
school should
that
still,
that is the decision.
yes, Your Honor, the law
Uh,
school should still have the academic freedom to determine, for example, a cutoff grade, which they would use, or the law school should be given um, discretion or authority to decide how they would interpret the results of the national aptitude exam, Your Honor.
it will be up to the school. You mean?
Yes, Your Honor, they could impose, for example, a cutoff grade.
Why was the PhilSat declared unconstitutional,
Your
and the
Honor,
and the NMAT regarding medical national medical aptitude test was declared constitutional? What was the difference? What was
Your
the
Honor, the
three descriptive words of the Supreme Court?
Your Honor, the Supreme Court held that the practice of the Legal Education Board of excluding, restricting, and disqualifying admissions to law schools would violate the institutional academic freedom of schools on who to admit, which is why the provisions of the Legal Education Board Memorandum Order number 7 2016, which states that all students who would apply for admission um, shall be required to pass the PhilSat as a requirement for admission to any law school. And also the provision which provides that no applicant shall be admitted for enrollment unless he or she has passed the PhilSat within 2 years before the start of his studies. And that was the Supreme Court held that those specific provisions would already encroach on the academic freedom of a law school, Your Honor. But in terms of the NMAT, the Supreme Court ruled that the NMAT was still constitutional because um, the NMAT does not encroach on the academic freedom of the medical schools because one, the the NMAT score, um, um, the NMAT is evaluated by the medical school in relation to their own cutoff scores. So there's no provided cutoff score, unlike the PhilSat, which provided that there was a 55% passing rate. And so, furthermore, it's not a sole determining factor whether the student should be admitted into medical school. So there are other bases for the applicant, for the school in evaluating the applicants for admission. Your Honor. So the medical schools have the discretion to determine the weight that they would give to the NMAT score of the applicant, Your Honor, unlike the PhilSat.
I see. You are from UP. Have you taken labor law?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, uh, in UP, you are required to grade or evaluate the performance of your professor, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your
Yes.
Honor. Sorry.
Yes. Sup- suppose a professor was not allowed in the because of the evaluation of the students. He got a professor was not allowed to teach in the next semester. Can he file a labor case against the school? Suppose it's a private school, not a state college of law. What can you say about that?
If the Your Honor,
Can
if
he
the
complain
basis,
of illegal dismissal?
Your Honor, if the because a school has the academic freedom, and this also pertains to determining the qualifications of its teachers. And so if the basis of the school in dismissing the teacher was apart from the evaluations of the student, was also on its own investigation that the teacher was not um, that the law professor was not meeting the standards required of a law professor of the university, then I think that the law professor would not have any ground for filing an illegal dismissal case, Your Honor.
Suppose there was a contract, and before the expiration of the contract, he was supposed to teach for 5 years. Before the expiration, his services were terminated on the basis of the evaluation of his students. Can he be terminated?
Yes, Your Honor. I think that the teacher could still be terminated, especially if the teacher did not meet the standards which were stipulated in the contract of employment of that teacher, Your Honor. Because the school also has an interest in maintaining the quality of the education that it gives to its students, Your Honor. So I think that, but the
Suppose the
teacher,
contract, suppose the contract was silent on that point,
I think, Your Honor, that the
and then
school
there
would.
was the due process.
I think, Your
I
Honor,
mean
if
to
there
say
was.
he was allowed to explain.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, why he should not be dismissed? The contract was silent as to the uh, it did not cover the or factor in the students' evaluation.
I think, Your Honor, that the school still has again, as I was saying, the interest in protecting the quality of the education, and even if the standards were not specifically enumerated in the contract, I think that a law professor would still have um, the knowledge or the understanding that there are certain standards that have to be met as a professor, like for example, because again, the the teacher would still have an obligation to properly teach the students and to properly impart knowledge to his students. So if the teacher is not meeting those requirements and is not actually performing his duty as a professor, then I think that that the professor would not have ground to file an illegal dismissal case, and the school or the law school would have ground to terminate the services of that professor, Your Honor.
Suppose there was no contract under the labor law. An employee becomes regular after 6 months. What can you say about that?
Yes, Your Honor, but even if um, the even if a teacher is regularized, there would still be grounds
Legal
for
grounds for
legal grounds
termination.
for termination of a teacher, Your Honor. And I think that not meeting the standards of teaching or not properly performing the duties of the teacher
Ground for
would be a
separation.
ground for separation for that.
Okay. Uh, how about, have you heard about the Magna Carta of Law students, the proposed Magna Carta of Law students? It was being prepared by the past members of the LEB. What should,
Uh,
uh, if there is one, what should it essentially cover?
I think, Your Honor, that the Magna Carta for law students should essentially cover, for example, avenues where the student could be given the Magna Carta should ensure that the quality of education is maintained or is improved, and that a student would not be unduly restricted or would not be unduly removed from the school merely because of for example, at the discretion of the law school, there has to be standards, and the student has to be aware and to be given notice of those standards for admission and retention of the students. And the student should be given due process before action or administrative actions may be taken against
Mean
that
to
student.
say
Your
there
Honor.
should be a grievance mechanism like that?
Yes, Your Honor. I think that
Others.
the rights of the
Oh,
student, among others, Your Honor, the rights of the student to due process and to be heard, especially when the penalty for the penalty for the offense that he is being charged with would entail, for example, dismissal or expulsion from the school, Your Honor.
okay. Have you taken, yes, you have 13 now, you have taken obligations and contract. What
Yes, Your
do
Honor.
you think is the nature of a contract between a student and a school?
The nature of a contract between a student and a school, Your Honor, would not be an ordinary contract. I don't.
Yeah.
I think that given the interest of the public in ensuring that a student is able to finish his education, that the student is able to learn and to have quality education. I don't think that I think that there should still be for example um interpretation of the contract in favor of the student, Your Honor.
Interpretation of the contract in favor of the student. So it is not an ordinary contract. Correct, you are correct. It is imbued with public interest. And I think that will be all, Ms. Xavier. Thank you very much. You are excused.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Justice Tiham?
Okay na si Justice Tiam.
Justice Tiham is connected right
Ayan na,
now.
ayan na.
Okay.
Nandiyan na siya.
All right.
Thank you, Honorable Justice Mendoza. The Honorable Justice Tiham will continue with his interview.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning again, Patricia. Just a few questions. Um, in your opinion, who has the primary responsibility of education to give the right primary responsibility, right, and duty to give education to students, in your opinion?
Um, Your Honor, if I may clarify, if this is between the Legal Education Board or the Supreme Court, Your Honor,
I'm
or
just
just
talking,
in general.
that's a general question. Who has the primordial duty, right, and responsibility to give education to students?
The
That's not a trick question. That's not a trick question.
The duty to give an education, Your Honor, would be on the parents of the students, Your
Or
Honor. I think
the
it's their
parents?
duty
Okay.
to.
So the parents send their children to school and they delegate that authority to the school. Is it the responsibility of schools to provide a safe and a conducive environment
Yes,
for,
Your Honor. I think that the school has the responsibility to provide a safe and conducive environment for learning for its students, Your Honor.
and if the school fails or neglects to provide a safe and a helpful and conducive environment, can parents sue the school, in your opinion?
In my opinion, Your Honor, I think that the parents would have the right to sue the school. I think that it would also be a form of breach because for a breach of the obligation of the school, Your Honor, and I think that it could also be under um, a quasi delict, Your Honor, because the school had been negligent in performing its duties, Your Honor.
All right. Now, last January 23, uh, a columnist, Mr. Bernie Lopez, wrote an article in the Daily Tribune, and the caption was Education as a Tool of Oppression. He said that due to the financial requirements of education, the taipans and the tycoons, these are the millionaires, who had money to spare, went into education, buying up failing schools or putting up new ones. One of the biggest donors in the education sector said that a grade 3 student from Ateneo speaks and writes better English than a fourth year high school student from Surigao City. That's what he said. Whether that is true or not remains to be validated. The conclusion is that poor students get poor quality education, while the middle class and the rich get the best. Do you agree with that observation?
No, Your Honor, I disagree. It's more of I don't think that I disagree with that analysis. Rather than saying that the poor have um, are not do not get the best education and instead it goes to the middle class, I think that um, the problem is that the middle class and the rich have more opportunities in comparison with the poor, and so that's why the poor are not able to, for example, be more exposed and have more opportunities to learn or express what they have learned and apply what they have learned. But I don't think that um, I disagree that the quality of education they get is different. I think that they're just hindered by opportunities. Um,
But the
like for
general
example,
the
yes,
general proposition is if you're poor, you cannot enroll in a good school or a good university. You are not education is not accessible if you cannot afford to enter a good school or a good university, principally because the tuition fees are prohibitive, correct? So, in that
yes,
sense, the columnist said, what is evil is our failure to give those who cannot afford a good education. Because everybody has an inherent right to good education. Do you agree with that?
yes, Your Honor, I agree with that
So as
statement, Your Honor.
a my last question is, as a representative of the student sector, how will you address this particular concern? Good quality legal education is good, but how do you make it available to those who deserve it? How do you make it available? Since you have to go to school, pay the tuition to avail of good legal education, how will you address it?
Yes, Your Honor. One of the suggestions that I would wish to propose to the Legal Education Board, if ever I were to be appointed, is to have, for example, regular scholarship programs, which would be needs based and not merits based, Your Honor. So it would still depend, and the application process for that, although it would be thorough, if the applicant has any concerns or has any issues, then the legal education board would provide avenues for the student to be able to address his concerns. And also, Your Honor, that's why I think it's important to have open communication, especially with schools outside, for example, Metro Manila or the provincial schools or the areas schools in areas which are easily affected by natural calamities or disasters, Your Honor. So I think that I would also propose that there should also be a disaster response by the legal education board in terms of financially aiding or giving recovery aid for students who are affected, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much, Patricia. Good luck, and I hope you gain more weight so that if and when you are appointed to the Legal Education Board, people there will not boss you around. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Honorable Justice Tiham. That concludes the online interview of Ms. Patricia Javier.
Attorney
Michelle?
Tally. Yes,
Yes,
excuse me.
Ms. Javier may be
Sige.
excused.
Yes, Ms. Javier, thank you. You may now leave the session.
Thank you very much again, Your Honors. Thank you for this opportunity. It is truly an honor to be here before you and to be able to present. And also, it is really an honor to be before distinguished members of the legal profession. Thank you very much again, Your Honors.
Thank you, Ms. Javier, and good luck.
Attorney,
Attorney Michelle, we'll proceed
yes,
with Attorney Alibogha.
Attorney Alibogha, you can hear us loud and
Yes.
clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay
What
po.
about me? Is my reception there okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much.
Attorney Tals.
Thank you, Attorney Michelle. Your Honors, next candidate to be interviewed is Attorney Salex E. Alibogha. He is a professor of the College of Law as well as the Dean of the College of Nursing of Central Philippine University in Haro, Iloilo City. He is an applicant for the Legal Education Board representing the active law practitioners. Good morning, Attorney Alibogha.
Good
First to
morning.
interview, first to
Good morning,
interview,
ma'am, and to the august body.
first to interview, first to interview you, Attorney Alibogha, is Honorable Judge Franklin J. De Monteverde.
Thank you, Attorney Tally.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Attorney Salex Alibogha.
Good morning,
Where
Your
did you
Honor.
Where did you get your name, Salex?
My father's name is Gonzalo, while my mother's name is Expectacion.
So
So
it's combination
it's a
of your
combination, Your
parent name.
Honor. Thank you.
Okay. You are from Iloilo?
Yes, Your Honor. I have my roots from Leganes, Iloilo, but I am living now in Molo, Iloilo City.
Okay, so you are an FBI. You know what FBI is?
FBI. I'm not so familiar with FBI, Your
Okay.
Honor, as
Full-blooded
a
Ilonggo.
Full-blooded Ilonggo.
full-blooded Ilonggo. Yes, Your
Ilonggo.
Honor. Thank you for that
Are you one of
information.
the FBI's? Oh, Master of Laws at San Beda University,
Yes,
correct?
Your Honor. That's right.
Okay. Okay. Now you have been with the Department of Nursing at the Central Philippine University, where you are presently the dean. Why not transfer to the Department of Law?
Your Honor, my term as a College Dean of the College of Nursing will expire this May 2021, and I am currently a professor at the College of Law. The President has appointed a new Dean, Attorney Ayla Indonila, and a new Associate Dean.
Okay.
Yeah.
You state here in your records that you are a professional lecturer at the Central Philippine University.
That's right, Your Honor.
Okay.
Professorial
What do you mean?
lecturer.
What do you mean by it? You only lecture at the instance or at the invitation of the school?
Since I am a permanent employee in the College of Nursing and a contractual dean of the College of Nursing, the College of Law has classification for several professors in the College of Law, and my load in the College of Law is integrated in the overall load of the university. So we are allowed 40 hours of load. So part of my load are subjects from the College of Law, approximately 6 units per semester, Your Honor. So the dean and the ranking committee of the College of Law, as well as the university, is classifying professors into associate lecturer and professorial lecturer. Those with experience of 5 years and with honors are classified as professorial lecturer rank with a different rate compared to those who are newcomers, where they are only associate lecturer and they have a low rank in terms of compensation, Your Honor.
So how long have you been teaching law at the CPU?
Oh, after I passed the bar exams in 2002, I was invited immediately by the Dean Zacharias Bidona, who is retired now. So I took my oath of office last April, and then I was integrated in the College of Law last June 2002 until the present. So approximately 18 years, Your Honor.
Okay, by the way, attorney, you speak well, no? You don't have the twang of the Ilonggos.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Huh?
Maybe because of my training in nursing, in the College of Nursing, Your Honor.
So you are applying for the post or for membership in the Legal Education Board as an active law practitioner, representing the active law practitioner,
That's
right?
right, Your Honor.
So is this your first time to be interviewed by the JBC?
Yes, Your Honor, this is my first time to be interviewed, and I thank the executive officer and the executive committee for giving me this opportunity of this experience, Your Honor.
Okay. Oh, how did you prepare for this interview?
Your Honor, because I am applying as a regular member of the Legal Education Board, then I have to read the Republic Act 7662, as well as the Manual of Operations and the Policies and Guidelines for Legal Education. And of course, one landmark case of the which involved the Legal Education Board, which is Pimentel versus Leb, Your Honor.
Okay, so what was your reason for applying?
Your Honor, I would like to apply now in the government after almost 28 years of service in the private sector. I want to offer myself to the government, into the public. Though I'm serving the public, being a nurse, I have been a staff nurse and serving the patient, and I serve the students, the faculty, as well as the law students. This time, I want to offer myself in the government service because I want also to impart my talents and skills in the legal education, as well as to enhance and enrich my practice as a legal practitioner, Your Honor.
Okay, attorney Salex, you are 50 years old.
Yes, Your
Are you
Honor.
Are you married?
Yes, I'm married for 18 years already.
18 years already. And how many children
I have two
do you have?
children. I
Only
have two
two?
children, Your Honor, a 17 years
In
old
a
and
period
15
of
years old.
18, in a period of 18 years, only two.
Yes, Your Honor, because my wife is a doctor and I'm a nurse, so we practice family planning. And my wife's family is just average size, so we don't want
Uh,
to have so many children, as responsible parenthood would say.
okay. Now, I have read that aside from this application for the Legal Education Board, you also applied for 4 family court stations in Region 6, correct?
That's right. That's right, Your Honor.
Uh-huh. So, between the two, which would you be more comfortable?
Oh, I think I will be more comfortable with legal education board. My experience in the academe is for almost 2 decades already in the legal education and close to 3 decades in the academe. And I think I can impart my skills and talents as well as abilities trying to do some reforms in legal education board, being an academician, Your Honor.
So, what cases are you currently handling at your law office?
Your
And
Honor, I'm
how do you
handling.
manage your time, considering that you are now a dean of nursing, a legal practitioner, and also a faculty member?
Thank you for the question, Your Honor. I just have to manage my time. My time as a dean is only 18 units, and we are exercising flex time in the College of Nursing. And I am getting only 6 units of teaching load in the College of Nursing, teaching nursing jurisprudence, and then 6 units of teaching load in the College of Law. So every time I have court appearance, so I have to exercise flex time. So if I have hearing at 8:30, then I have to time in at 10 and then go out to my office at 6 or 7 in the evening. So currently, I am handling cases since I am a nurse and I am teaching legal medicine in the College of Law. I am handling malpractice and negligence cases involving nurses and doctors as a counsel for the complainant and counsel for the respondent also. There are cases filed by patients in court in the administrative case before the Professional Regulations Commission, and civil cases involving quasi-delicts, malpractice and negligent act of nurses and doctors. I have also handled several cases of annulment, but Your Honor, most of my annulment cases involve nurses or alumni of our school.
So, kwan ka pala, savior ng mga nurses, ha?
Yes,
A
Your
knight in
Honor.
shining armor, ha?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, you have been teaching for quite some time already. For how many years? 18 years?
In the College of Law, Your Honor, and
And
28
likewise, also
years
in there.
in the
Okay.
College of Nursing.
Okay. And you are applying for a post the here now. So let's
Yes, Your
go
Honor.
basic this time. Let's go basic. Can you cite some objectives of the legal education to
It
which you
is
are
the
applying?
objective, yes, Your Honor, it is the objective of legal education to enhance awareness as well as awareness of the study of law, prepare students who would be full-fledged lawyers in the study of law to be a whole person practitioner, and also it is the objective of legal education board to develop leadership among students to prepare them for future endeavor as leaders in the legal profession, and of course to introduce reforms in legal education, and of course prescribe curricula and supervise and administer legal education in the Philippines, Your Honor.
What does it aim to accomplish?
It
If you
aims to
know.
accomplish the legal to the development of the students for them to be integrated into the legal profession. So primarily, it is the role of the Legal Education Board to prescribe curricula as well as to enhance and enrich the students' learning experiences in the study of law and the legal profession for that matter to prepare them to be a very good legal practitioners in the future, Your Honor.
How about inculcating in them the ethics and
That's
responsibilities
right.
of the legal
Yes.
profession?
That's right, Your Honor. Inculcation of ethical-moral principles, particularly legal ethics for that matter, to prepare them for ethical and moral responsibilities when they are legal practitioners already, Your Honor.
Can you cite some of the powers and functions of the board?
The Legal Education Board administers legal education in the country. It is also responsible for supervising law schools in the delivery of legal education in the Philippines. Legal education also prescribe model curricula observing academic freedom. It also prescribes standards for accreditation, okay, and of course other regulatory functions in the administration of the legal profession, prescribes law admission policies, qualifications, as well as of course regulate compensation for law professors, Your Honor.
You forgot one power, and this is to adopt a system of continuing legal education.
Yes, Your Honor, among
What can
legal
you say about this?
professors.
What can you say about this,
um,
considering that it is rather in conflict with the Supreme Court's mandatory
Your
continuing legal
Honor,
education?
that's right, Your Honor. This particular power and function of the Legal Education Board was primarily contested and primarily questioned in Pimentel versus Legal Education Board. There is a mandatory continuing legal education council under the Supreme Court. Okay,
Mhm.
therefore, this power is not within the ambit of the Legal Education Board because mandatory continuing legal education for lawyers already who are practicing law is a requirement for practice of law as mandated by the Supreme Court of the Philippines. Therefore, the Legal Education Board cannot regulate this and control the continuing legal education. Maybe, Your Honor, the schools may give in-service training as part of their continuing quest for quality education for their professors, but not for law practitioners, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, according to your SALN, Attorney Salex,
Yes, Your
you have
Honor.
you are in business. You have some business interests and financial connections to the following:
Yes, Your Honor.
Serena Pharmacy, Serena Realty, and A1 Passers Review Center.
Yes,
What
Your
are
Honor.
these and what is the nature of your connection to these entities? Let's go one by one. Huh?
Okay,
Serena
Your
Pharmacy.
Honor.
Okay,
Serena
Serena.
Pharmacy, Your Honor, is derived from the name Salex and Renalyn. My wife is Renalyn. So my
Okay.
wife is a registered nurse, a medical technologist, and a pediatrician at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we put up this business after we got married because my wife is practicing her profession being a pediatrician. So my in-laws help us in building this business, Serena Pharmacy Merchandising. So I am a partner together with my in-laws plus my wife, Your Honor, for
Right.
Serena
Okay.
Pharmacy
Your wife is practicing in Iloilo.
in Sara, Iloilo,
So
in
Sarah.
her hometown, Your Honor, in her
Yeah. Okay.
hometown.
So you go home to Sarah every day,
Oh, before
or
when the
she comes
kids
home.
are small, then I used to go home to Sara. But now since the kids are already here in Iloilo City for their high school education, then
Mhm.
my wife used to go home Monday to Friday, and then family day is Saturday and Sunday, Your Honor.
Okay. What about the Sarina Realty? Are you in brokerage?
We are not in brokerage, Your Honor. It is just a sort that my in-laws have different lands. You know, they are Panes family in Pasay. So they have land. So we formed a partnership together with my father-in-laws and put up a business, which is a pension house, a private resort in Sara, Iloilo, Your Honor, where my
Mhm.
father and mother-in-law are co-partners, and then my wife and myself. The land in the building was given to my father-in-law and mother-in-law, and then my wife is the one managing the business at the same time, Your Honor. So I
Okay.
am partly a partner in that business.
What about this A1 Passers Review Center?
A1 Pastors Review Center, Your Honor, is A1 Pastors Review Training Research and Development Center. So I was a managing partner. I have one alumni who invested in a review center for health-related professions like nursing, medical technology, medicine, as well as pharmacy. So I was managing partner before, but when I became dean of the College of Nursing, to avoid conflict of interest, then I just stayed as a uh, I relinquished my right over the business last March 2020, Your Honor, because I don't want that other people will say that I'm the dean of the College of Nursing and I'm forcing students to enroll in
Yeah.
the College of
Uh,
Nursing. Yes, so
that's
my role there only is as a part-time legal counsel, advising them about paperworks and other legal matters for that
marketing
matter.
director or
I don't
marketing
market.
director
It's
for
I
the
am not
A1
allowed at
Passers.
CPU to market, Your Honor, because that is against our rules and regulation here as conflict of
Okay,
interest for
Attorney
such
Salek,
matter.
what are your short and long-term plans for the lab?
Your Honor, it is my desire that the Legal Education Board would embrace whole person education. I am a strong advocate of whole person education. Whole person education is a pedagogy which trains students for life, developing them intellectually, spiritually, ethically, as well as skillfully and in pragmatic and experiential manner. Okay, I wanted to introduce reforms in legal education board by revisiting the curriculum of law and trying to dissect the components of the syllabi as well as the course content of the courses in order that the students will not be trained only in the intellectual power in the aspect of theoretical instruction, but it has to be coupled with skills. So I am a firm believer of Carl Llewellyn, who integrated spokesmanship as well as rhetorical competence. I want that lawyers students who graduate from the College of Law and will become legal practitioner later, they will be trained with competence, confidence, commitment, conscience, as well as in a caring and a nurturing manner. Okay. Moreover, I wanted to introduce research and critical thinking. You know, legal research may not be enough. I wanted creative thinking wherein students of law may try to innovate something and try to integrate what they have learned in the social drama of law, which involves not only trying to memorize things, but they learn how to apply those things when they practice already. That's why it's my proposition that there must be a skill component or laboratory component for each of the substantive law. I want to introduce multi-learning too in legal education, which includes the physical aspect of law, the tangible ones, and the spiritual aspect of law, which are the intangible ones, and of course, particularly the process of law, which involves, of course, litigation with a heart and litigation with ethics and morality. Lastly, Your Honor, I would like to propose that there should be a retracer study or tracer study of the different colleges of law so that we can interview graduates of what things that they have experienced and how they connect this with their experience in the law school. And then it will make an imprint or impact in the College of Law that these are the things that they need to innovate and reform in their modes of instruction so that it can be improved later based on the experiences of the previous graduates, Your Honor. So I wanted this to be integrated in all law schools, tracer and retracer study, so that we learn from the experiences, from the lived experiences of the lawyer graduates of that particular school. And this could be a very good input for law schools to improve, particularly if they failed in the bar exams or they have problems in their practice later. Therefore, if we conduct a tracer study, it is a review somehow of the things that these graduates have learned from their school and their actual experience for that matter. In that case, it will bridge a gap between education and practice in the legal profession, Your Honor.
Okay, Attorney Alex, you really love to talk, no?
Sorry, Your Honor.
That, Attorney, that was my last question. That was my last question. And from one FBI to another, good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor. God bless.
Oh, see, God bless likewise.
Thank you, Honorable Judge De Monteverde.
Thank you, Attorney Tally.
Next to interview the candidate is Honorable Justice Noel Jimenez Tiham.
Thank you, Attorney Tally.
Good morning, Your
Morning,
Honor.
Attorney Salex.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are multi-talented. You are in the academe. Also, you are in the health sector.
Professions. Thank you for the compliment, Your Honor.
You're a lawyer. Uh, do you think physical and mental health are important as a component in legal education? Is it necessary not only to train competent students, not only to hire competent law professors, but also those who are physically and mentally healthy?
Yes, I subscribe to that idea, Your Honor. As I have said a while ago, I am a strong advocate of whole person education. Whole person education trains students for full opportunity in life, integrating the holistic aspect of one's personality, Your Honor. It means that it is developing the person physically, intellectually, spiritually, mentally, and of course, in experientially and in the pragmatic sense. The body is likened to an organization. The body is a whole being. And if any part of the body is affected, therefore all other parts are also affected. So if your physical stature is affected, it affects your heart, it affects your brain, it affects the way you feel, and it affects the way you act and the way you behave in public, as well as your decision-making skills is also affected. Therefore, it is very important that a practitioner of law or a person working in the government should be physically fit so that he will be mentally fit, socially fit, all other things would emanate. Like the body needs oxygen and sugar in order to live in the cells, in order to function. Therefore, the mind needs also the physical body. And the mind needs the oxygen, the heart needs the oxygen and the glucose and the sugar so that you can think well. If you are hungry, if you are sick, that's why I commend the Judicial and Bar Council for a complete physical examination as well as complete lab exams and the RT-PCR test. It means that the Judicial and Bar Council recognizes the importance of holistic being, that applicants for a judicial post should be physically healthy, mentally healthy because of the neurological and psychological examinations. Assessing the applicants for their neuro and psychological makeup is a very important component that will match the holistic being of an individual. Thank you, Your Honor.
You got a very high rating in the bar examination. Were you able to finish the bar examinations? Because
Yes, Your Honor. I was
you talk lengthily. Did you also write answers lengthily in the bar
Yes,
exam?
Your Honor. I have to budget my time, but actually, in my bar rating, I was short to be in the top 10. It's because I was not able to finish the legal forms and practical exercises. I think there were three forms that were asked. In my desire to explain very well and to complete the forms, I was not able to finish one form. That's why I got 79 in legal ethics and practical exercises. But Your Honor,
That's
there
only
was
that's only
uh,
5%. That's only 5%. Anyway,
yes, okay. I'm short of being in the top 10, 85.65, Your Honor. But I thank the Lord because she still blessed me because my wife that time, I went home to Iloilo to attend to my wife who was operated for craniotomy, Your Honor. I went home for a month and left my review class because my wife met an accident during their pediatric convention in Rojas. So she was operated for craniotomy. So I had to leave my review school in UST and then go home and take care of my wife and then go back 2 months before the bar exams, Your Honor.
now we all know that students go to law school, they become lawyers, but they go to different fields. Only a few go to private law practice. Only a few go to the academe. Some go to politics. Some join government sector. Some become farmers, entrepreneurs, businessmen. How will you prepare law students for those multifaceted ventures that they may go into after becoming a lawyer?
Your Honor, my previous concept about whole person education would summarize my tenet for that particular postulate. Whole person education prepares students for life, not only for the practice of their profession. Whole person education develops them intellectually, spiritually, mentally, socially, and all facets of life in a holistic fashion for that matter. Therefore, we have to prepare all the students with all the social drama and all the social consequences. They may not be in the legal profession, in the academe as a law practitioner, but they could use what they have learned in the College of Law in 4 years of training in the College of Law in their respective own rights in their life. Maybe as a farmer, they can help the farmers, okay, with their legal needs and assist them with their legal needs. When they apply in politics, they can learn the legal tenets and the practice of politics in the ethics and morality that they have learned from the law school will be applied in politics.
Should there
So
be, I'm sorry for interrupting, should there be a course, more courses on ethical conduct, courses on graft and corruption? Because one of the lament of Ombudsman Martires is that the evils of graft and corruption should be taught in schools. So, unfortunately, based on my experience, based on my observation, based on my information, the focus of legal education is on competency, on legal knowledge. What specific actions or courses or recommendations will you make to enhance the ethical bearing of law students who will soon become lawyers?
Your Honor, although the model curriculum has legal ethics integrated, right? However, the two units might not be enough to study other concerns about morality and ethics in the government, public Although in administrative code and law on public officials, some of these laws are integrated in this particular study, but it is only in a superficial manner.
Many lawyers,
Time,
except, excuse me for interrupting,
yes, Your
many
Honor.
lawyers are reprimanded, disciplined by the Supreme Court for unethical conduct. Why
Yes.
so? Is it because of lack of training, lack of adequate education in law school?
Yes, I believe, Your Honor, because these things were not properly emphasized. Some law students may just memorize, but they were not integrated in society where they're able to practice what they have learned from the four walls of the classroom. They were not exposed to society where there are examples of graft and corruption for that matter. So it is very important that they may be exposed to some scenarios in the society for them to learn and to
How will
integrate that
you
in
do that?
their
How will
study
you
of
do that?
law.
How will you do that, Attorney Alex?
Your Honor, we can expose them in society. We can expose them to politics as an observer. They would have some sort of lived experience there, trying to observe the actuations of people in the government. That's why I would like to introduce reforms like putting up laboratory or skills or clinical component of a particular subject, like in legal ethics. In practical exercises, we are presented with cases only, and we have to analyze the cases. What Llewellyn tries to imbibe on us is about rhetorical competence, and that rhetorical competence where students of law are exposed to the social drama of society, where they can learn what are the realities of what is happening in our society. In that case, it adds meat to the theoretical instructions that we have, Your Honor.
In our study of taxation, we were taught that tax evasion is wrong, it is illegal, but tax avoidance to a certain degree may be permissible. All right.
Your Honor.
Now, what is your understanding of one upmanship in the legal profession? What is your understanding of that? Or can you give me an example?
Oh, if legal tax evasion
No,
is
I'm not talking of tax evasion and tax avoidance. The concept of legal one-upmanship.
mhm. Yes, Your Honor, legal one-upmanship is trying to bridge what is legal versus illegal in a manner that it will try to balance societal norms, morality, and ethics for that matter, Your Honor. Legal one-upmanship is discouraging machinations and tricks to trying to convince people that this is right, although tax avoidance may really be legally allowed by law, but there are cases that some lawyers are trying to have some machinations or tricks.
But how
Okay.
come? But how come, Attorney Alex?
Mhm.
How come those things are not taught in law schools? That these are the things, these are the pitfalls you have to avoid. Law students who become lawyers, they learn about one-upmanship when they join law offices.
Yes, Your
And they
Honor.
are taught the tricks of the legal trade. Why so?
Your Honor, as a strong believer of whole person education, that's why I would like to introduce whole person education in the model curriculum if given a chance, because some law schools would focus only on theoretical instruction as well as imbibing on the students the theory without necessarily imbibing about the ethics, morality, and proper role modeling because of people in society who are giving or who project a poor role model to these fresh graduates of law and fresh practitioners. then it would imbibe in themselves, oh, it's just okay if there are tricks and machinations like this. However, if we introduce whole person education and proper role modeling to our students, the professors themselves, the law practitioners, and we have to integrate that in the curriculum of law, then students will be trained for life. And these are people with a strong Christian character. You know, Your Honor, I'm in a Christian institution. We are founded the American Baptist Missionaries. And I myself train my student, I mean, to be a Christian lawyer, a lawyer with ethical and moral and spiritual aspect in their lives, Your Honor.
The common lament of law students who took the bar and became lawyers is that law in theory in school is different from law in practice. So there's a shocking realization that not everything taught to them inside the classroom are applicable in the real world. My question is, talking about legal education, should law students be taught in law schools how to make more money legally and how to avoid making money illegally so that they will be prepared to face legal practice in the real world?
Yes, Your Honor, that is very important that we have to teach the student how to appreciate the social drama of life. That's why in Llewellyn's concept of spokesmanship, it is very important that these students are exposed to the realities of society so that they can learn from their experience. And we have to teach the students the actual practice within the bounds of the rules. That's why it is my advocacy, if given a chance to be a part of Legal Education Board, to conduct a tracer and retracer study of the experiences of the students so that little by little we can bridge the gap between education and practice. Now, teaching
I,
them to face the
I,
realities of life.
all right. Attorney Salex, as a law professor, how will you address problems involving absenteeism of law professors, problems of incompetent law professors who prefer to conduct recitations and give quizzes instead of educating their students, or concerns about isolated cases of sexual harassment by law professors? How would you address those concerns?
Your Honor, I have experienced that particular scenario where some faculty members or law professors are has so many absences and they are not doing discussions for that matter. So, as a potential candidate for nomination to Legal Education Board, it is one of my advocacy to strengthen the qualification standards for the faculty members. Secondly, there must be good supervision and monitoring. Third, there must be continuing professional growth and development with the faculty members or the law professors. And of course, as experience here in our school, every Wednesday we have the mental health day as well as the spiritual convocation for that matter. 4 to 5:30 in the afternoon in our school is a spiritual and mental health convocation. It is very important that the physical, social, psychological, and neurological aspect of personality of the would-be professor should also be strengthened because some law schools would like to attract lawyers or to teach in the college of law because sometimes there are dearth of practitioners who would like to teach. That's why it's very important that in one way or another, the qualification standards of a particular school the mechanisms of supervision and monitoring of the faculty members, the constant mental health and spiritual component in one way or another could help in the developing the personality of the lawyers, okay, to be more ethical and moral and avoid sexual advancement with their students for that matter,
Now let's
Your
talk
Honor.
about the Magna Carta. There is a proposed Magna Carta for law students. There is an existing Magna Carta for teachers. A Magna Carta is a enumeration of rights. But we all know that teachers have academic freedom, educational institutions have academic freedom, students have academic freedom. Is there a need to synchronize all of this Magna Carta so that there will be no conflict or encroachment on their respective fields? And how will you do it?
Yes, Your Honor. It is necessary that if there is Magna Carta for teachers, Magna Carta for students, educators, administrators for that matter, I think we need to codify and we need to synchronize all of these Magna Carta so that we can avoid any conflict and all of this Magna Carta will be in sync with what is the standards prescribed by the state or prescribed by the law, so that when we try to balance the role of the state in trying to demand for quality and standards and respecting for all the rights of particular individual for that matter, we have also to balance that this particular charter or standards which we are going to codify, balance, and harmonize for that matter should not be exclusionary, qualifying, and restrictive for that matter, so that it will not infringe on the academic freedom of the teachers themselves as well as the students.
Now,
Therefore, yes, Your Honor.
the last question, Attorney Salex, is many taipans and tycoons have bought schools, they infuse capital to upgrade the quality of the schools. But it's also a business proposition. So necessarily tuition fees have gone up as well. Now, how would you make quality education available to all if poor students cannot afford to enter institutions, good educational institution, because of prohibitive or restrictive tuition fees? That's my last question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Since the lab is mandated also to regulate standards as well as tuition and fees for that matter in schools and the graduation of fees and other matriculation in the College of Law, and there are guidelines. So I think it's very important that these schools will be monitored whether they stick to the standards or not. Secondly, as Dean of the College of Law and as an administrator, it is very important that there must be consultation with the public as well as with the students with regard to the tuition and fees for that matter. Secondly, thirdly, based on my experience, our alumni are donating scholarships for the College of Nursing. Therefore, it is very important too that there might be scholarships in the College of Law. Maybe the Legal Education Board may also devise mechanism to offer scholarships to poor and deserving students like Commission on Higher Education when they give what we call state scholarships to all graduates of senior high schools and high school students. And this particular matter has been given emphasis so that these poor but deserving students will enter the College of Law. An endowment fund is also very important for its college so that this may assist the poor but deserving students to be offered financial assistance for that matter. Thank
Thank you,
you, Your Honor.
Attorney Salex, and good luck.
Thank you for the opportunity, Your Honor. God bless.
Thank you, Honorable Justice Tiham. Next to interview the candidate, uh, is Honorable Judge Toribio E. Ilao Jr.
Thank you, Attorney Tally.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Attorney Salex.
Yes,
Salex
Your Honor.
Espinosa.
Yes.
Kindly fix yourself first.
Yes, Your Honor.
And just to have a good composure of mind. Yours. Your lips, please. Can you wipe something on your lips? May konting anong bibig mo, panyero ng ano.
Okay.
Okay?
Um,
Sige po, sorry.
can I drink water, Your Honor? Sorry.
Please, because of so many questions and
Yeah.
it's
I
elicited so
salivate
many
a lot,
answers.
so I'm sorry for that.
So your
Okay, thank
family
you, Your
name is
Honor.
okay. Your family name is Alibugha.
Yes, Your Honor.
BOG, not BUGHA.
Yes, Your Honor. BOG, because BOG has a meaning in the Tagalog dictionary.
Tawa ka naman ng tawa. What do you understand Alibuga? BUG in Tagalog.
BOG, alibugang anak, suwail,
Ah,
right? In the Bible, this was the child, the son, who would like to get the inheritance ahead of time. Okay,
okay, it's Alibuga. Alibughang anak. Oh.
anak.
It
Yes.
came from you and not from me.
Oh, sorry, but my surname, Your Honor, is BOG and not BUG.
Not contemplating of changing your family name.
No, Your Honor.
If you need a court for the change of your family name.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's more of a private one. So you are a registered nurse, registered NAR, only one, single only, not nurse, plural.
Yes, Your Honor, that's right.
And what made you enroll in law school?
Your Honor, I was a faculty member a year after I graduated, after working in the hospital for 1 year. And the former dean of the College of Nursing told me to embark on studying law because she assigned to me nursing law and jurisprudence for that matter. So she told me, as part of the specialization program of the College of Nursing, I would like you to be developed in professional adjustments as well as nursing law and jurisprudence. That's why up to this time I am teaching nursing law and jurisprudence in the nursing school. That's my primary reason of taking up law. And of course, we encountered one family problem about land dispute. And during that time, I was so helpless with all the other parties claiming to have the rights and everything. So I got inspired with this experience, and I used this experience to further myself in the legal profession because I told myself I could help more people if I am a lawyer rather than being a nurse. That's all, Your Honor.
Good, thank you. And that you are still involved in nursing, being the dean of the College of Nursing at your alma mater.
That's right, Your Honor.
How do you manage the two professions?
Your Honor, nursing education in our alma mater does not really give so much load to the faculty members. As a dean, I am given only 6 units as inscribed in CHED Memorandum Order number 15, series of 2017, the policies and standards of nursing education, just recently promulgated by CHED. Secondly, our alma mater are exercising flexi time for deans and faculty of the College of Nursing. So, in nursing education, I'm teaching nursing law and jurisprudence. And in my legal practice, if I have hearings, then I have to give notice to my Vice President for Academic Affairs and Human Resource. And then in the evening, I am teaching in the College of Law. Therefore, I can still balance because I am also being assisted by some of my legal staff. And usually Saturday is spent for my, aside from my family day, it is also spent to entertain clients. Okay, therefore, I could balance my time in practice, legal education, as well as nursing education for that matter, Your Honor.
You mentioned about nursing education.
Mhm.
And to become an expert in forensics, you must be a licensed physician because we have rare forensics experts. Remembering the event that Christine Dacera, di ba?
Mhm.
Even here in Metro Manila, we have only two experts. During my time when I was a presiding judge, we have only attorney Fortune and a certain Voltaire from PNP Krami.
Attorney Nang also, Your Honor.
Now it's attorney Nam or
Attorney.
Lim.
Mhm. Mhm.
Any have interest in such forensics?
Your Honor, I am teaching actually legal medicine in the College of Law, being a health person as well as a lawyer. So I got some training in training and seminars, particularly in forensics, and also in my Master's of Law at San Beda. We have DNA in forensics also introduced by our law professor in the graduate school of San Beda College. Okay, so I got interested in that particular instance, but I don't have any inclination towards a full-blown legal forensic expert, Your Honor, because it demands a lot of time in advanced education, particularly in the United States, in other countries like France too.
All right, what are your hobbies, attorney? Have
Oh,
you
Your Honor.
have hobbies?
Yes, Your Honor. My hobby is planting
Planting what?
plants,
Plantilla, plantita.
plantito. Yes, I
Plantito.
have done it. If other people are trying to be plantitos during the pandemic, I have been a plantito ever since because,
Mm.
I don't have any vices at all. I don't drink. I don't smoke for that matter. So after my low class and TTHS, I have to go home and then tend to my plants and gardens at home. Okay, that is one of my hobby. And secondly, reading, Your Honor.
Akala ko wali eh. Akala ko wali. Akala,
They thought I could not balance my life with my personal family and the recreation. Okay, as a nurse, I was trained how to be a disciplined person to balance my life with the task assigned to me, Your Honor.
you have time or quality time with your children. You have how many children? Two.
I have two children, Your Honor. I used to tutor my two children. Aside from my wife doing the tutor, I used to spend quality time to them every night because when I arrive home, I don't touch my work anymore because it's a big no for my wife. When you are at home, concentrate on home activities to our children. And Sunday is a family day, Your Honor.
Your alma mater is Central Philippine University, and did I hear you correctly that that's the Christian University?
Yes, Your Honor. Founded by American Presbyterian missionaries.
And but your children, Alexis is enrolled as a student in Iloilo Scholastic Academy. This is
That's right, Your Honor.
a Catholic
That's
one, run by Catholic.
yes. And St. Paul University is a Catholic one because we are Catholics, Your Honor. I am a Roman devout human Catholic.
About your
So
wife.
my wife is a devout Roman Catholic too. So my wife and I have talked, and she said that we have to send our children to Catholic school. Okay.
Alright, consider, sorry, considering the many hats you wear, how do you intend to manage the duties and responsibilities of the Legal Education Board if and when you're nominated and appointed?
Your Honor, my term as a Dean of the College of Nursing will expire this May 2021. So I have to resign from my post because I am already determined to enter public service, Your Honor. That's why I'm applying for several judicial posts because I already talked to my wife and told him that I am now ready to offer my service to the government. And since it will be in the national office, then there is no problem with my family. I already consulted them before trying to enter into this thing and applying in the judicial post, Your Honor. So it's just a matter of budgeting your time. If you are in government service, then you have to serve the government all out, and you have to do all of these activities, balancing your personal life with all the administrative duties and responsibilities given to you.
So you're likewise contemplating entering the judiciary, trying your luck at in the first or second level court, preferably in the second level court, the RTC.
Second level.
Or you can also try the appellate court. We had so many openings.
Your Honor, I want first to have a very strong foundation in the lower
Okay.
level so that I can really show my best and do my best for a higher level. I rose from ranks as a faculty member and then as a coordinator, then an acting dean, associate dean. So I wanted that my career will be progressive so that my learning experience will be applied to in a very progressive manner too.
All right, could you tell us more about your practice and law office, aside from handling petition for annulment?
Yes, I have most of my clients are nurses because, of course, I know them. They are alumni of our university. And I have the clients also about malpractice and negligence cases. I have filed cases against doctors, nurses,
Hmm?
because some patients are have died. So I have filed quasi-delix case, administrative case before the Professional Regulations Commission. I have defended doctors too, and I have defended nurses in Professional Regulations Commission for administrative case for gross negligence and malpractice too. Aside from that, my law office is also cater clients for titling. I have assigned some staff to do administrative titling and processing of titles for that matter. And currently, I am handling a criminal case for rape.
You're a solo practitioner. Do you have lawyers in your law office?
I am a solo practitioner. I have I have legal staff. I have three legal staff. However, I have a partner collaborating counsel from the other law office, just in case I could not appear in court. Who is also a nurse by profession, turned out to be a lawyer. My student before I inspired and motivated
Oh,
him to finish law.
your profession, even your career, is very, very colorful. And you're
Thank you, Your Honor.
ultra rich.
Not really. I'm just living a comfortable life by God's provision.
And what did you learn from your experience as such, from your practice as a nurse and also as a lawyer?
Okay. Your Honor, I have learned the nurturing and caring attitude for my patients. In my short stint as a staff nurse at Iloilo Mission Hospital, I have learned how to be caring and nurturing. And as a faculty member and as a dean of the College of Nursing, I learned how to manage people in a creative way, to nurture them and to empower them. I applied what I have learned from the medical field, from the nursing field to my practice. I don't charge my clients so much Because of my caring and nurturing attitude, if my client would say, I'm sorry, I am financially inadequate, then I have to make a reconsideration for that. Because of my caring and nurturing attitude in the health profession, I was able to apply this and how to deal with my clients, as well as people in the low courts, judges, and other people of high ranking members or top echelon in the judiciary, as well as in the government offices for that matter. I had to act as a competent lawyer with a heart.
So simply, how is the work ethics? Sorry, how is the work culture? Compassionate or what?
Yeah, compassion, Your Honor, I have to summarize it in 5 C's: compassion, competence, confidence, conscience, and commitment.
And what principles have you consistently lived by in your practice?
Thank you, Your Honor. I always live with my philosophy, true philosophy, and that is behind the clouds, the sun is still shining. I came from a poor family, and my mother is just a sidewalk vendor, and my father is just a janitor in a school. So our mother imbibed us that for every sacrifices and struggles in life, there is a prize out there if you just work very well, if you are diligent, dedicated, and committed. That's why I sent my 16 nieces and nephew to school because I want to help my family. We are 9 siblings in the family, and I am the youngest. Some of my family members, my siblings, did not finish school. 4 of them, only 5 of us finished. So I took this as an inspiration, being the youngest in the family, to raise my family so that my nieces and nephew will be able to succeed in their life too. And now I graduated 3 years ago from sending the 16 of my nieces and nephew to school. One of my nephew graduated in 2016. He is now a lawyer in Kabangkalan Public Attorney's Office. I spent for his education because I want to develop my family while serving the community. And lastly, Your Honor, vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision coupled with action changes the world, as gleaned from the words of Joel Barker. In my leadership in the College of Nursing, in my dealings with my client, I usually thought about reforms, changes, being a quantum and transformative leader in our college. I usually live with that philosophy of Joel Barker about vision and action. For my personal and family life, I have to live with that philosophy that behind the clouds, the sun is still shining. Thank you, Your Honor.
So at the end of the rainbow, there's a pot
There
of
is,
gold too.
yes, Your Honor.
Well,
That's right.
coming to your silent. So you did you declared as your deposits in PDS 7 million for 48,484. But in your deposit, you did not declare in your sal end the deposit, no declaration.
Oh, Your Honor, maybe I missed to include it, the personal property. In the SALN, I indicated there the deposit. Okay? But in the portion there in personal property, I left to include, but I have a bank certification as well as the declaration there in my SALN about bank deposits of 7 million pesos, Your Honor. Because this is my first time to fill up a SALM. I'm sorry, my apology.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I did not consult any person. I just did it myself. So if there is any problem, Your Honor, my deep apology for that. I am not an accountant or what.
That's
So
what I was so because
mhm.
I was carried by your answer of claiming to come from the poor or poorest place.
Yes, Your Honor. But my
And how
wife
many?
is very
Yes.
hardworking, and I'm also very hardworking. And to tell you frankly, our in-laws, the lolas and the lolo, are the ones spending for my child's education. We are frugal, and we do not spend a lot. We do not go out unless it is family affair, and we don't spend so much on parties because I have. It's my it's my contention that I have been a poor before. We don't have money. My father died without proper health attendance. So this time, I have to really save for the future. So my salary in the College of Nursing, the College of Law for 28 years already. I used to save since 1992, Your Honor, and until that I taught in the College of Law, the salary is per hour. So I don't spend so much except for some family vacation, Your Honor, indicated in my summary of travel.
But I don't want to be or conspicuously repetitive. Why do you wish to join the Legal Education Board, Panyero?
Your Honor, I have intimated before my desire to be in government service already. After 28 long years of being in the private, so I talked with my wife, and it's time now to offer my talents to the government. And it is my desire to introduce reforms in the Legal Education Board, being an educator and practitioner, blending as one for that matter. I would like also to share and learn from the experiences of my students, being a professor of law for that matter, in the realities I have seen in the practice of law and the practice of the law professors for that matter. So this time, I want to offer my time to the government, to public service, so that I am being inspired by one of my patients before who told me, Salex, you have a talent and a potential. Why not serve the public for that matter so that the public can also make use of your talents and abilities? Okay? Although serving the students is also serving the public, but it's different if you are really in government service, trying to influence lives for that matter.
All right, the Constitution provides that, I quote, the state shall enhance the rights of teachers to professional advancement. Non-teaching academic and non-academic personnel shall enjoy the protection of the state. What is your understanding of this provision in the Constitution?
My understanding of the provision, Your Honor, is with regard to the education sector, the academic personnel, as well as the non-academic personnel. If they are employed in the public or private service, they are protected by the government with labor laws and legislations. The rights of the workers under labor laws are being protected by the state through labor laws and social legislations. Secondly, in the public sector, the rights of the academic teaching personnel in the non-academic teaching personnel in a government school is also protected by the Civil Service Commission as well as the government service insurance system. The working force is an asset of the government. Therefore, the state has to protect the rights for the private sector, okay, and the government sector for all the rights of the workers that is accorded to them for a just and humane working condition, just humane living wage, the right for them to negotiate, okay, the right for them to form an organization for their collective bargaining agreement and all other rights enshrined in the labor laws for that matter, Your Honor.
By the way, had you finished your masteral in the Sambeda College?
Yes, Your Honor, last August 2017.
And do I understand that you also received an award
An award, yes, Your Honor, for
Department of, yes, Department of Health, Region 6, magna
yes,
cum laude.
yes,
Magna cum
yes, Your
laude.
Honor. I am engaged in research activities, and the Department of Science and Technology gave me a plaque of recognition for all my researches in HIV and AIDS during the in the 90s when the program is still on the go, and some research awards from the Department of Health for all impact studies and assessment, Your Honor.
All right. An American scholar once said, and I quote, education is what survives even after what has been learned has been forgotten. What do you think this statement means?
The statement means that legal education or education is a continuing process. Shall we say we are all lifelong learners so that we will be able to learn all the facets and intricacies, revolution, changes and transformation and education. There are things which are obsolete and there are that is being replaced by revisions, amendments. So we tend to forget the past, but the past is a constructive basis for what is present in the currently as well as in the future for that matter. So it is very important to learn and unlearn and relearn for that matter. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, my last one. All right, this is case. Mr. Marshall was killed on a Sunday afternoon. His wife said she was reading a book. The butler said he was taking a shower. The chef said he was making breakfast. The maid said she was folding clothes. Who did it? You had the medical jurisprudence
Yes,
with
Your Honor, we have to determine, of course, gather facts and circumstances about the death, examination, if there is available, of a forensic pathologist for that matter, the circumstances behind the death, as well as the post-mortem examinations available, particularly the content of the stomach, Your Honor. It takes about 3 to 4 hours for the food to be transmitted to the large intestine. Therefore, the examination of the medical legal officer as to the content of the stomach is very important if it is being argued that the maid says she is preparing breakfast or taking breakfast for that matter. So the importance of the circumstances of the death in the examination in the body of the person, the wound or injury inflicted, and all the examinations for that matter, particularly the medical legal report, okay, of the expert person in medicine or forensic pathologist for that matter, content of the stomach, condition of the wound when it is being seen, that would lead into the etiology or the cause of death, Your Honor.
who among the personnel did I mention commit such murder? We have this, the butler said he was taking a shower. The chef said he was making breakfast. Yet the victim was killed on a Sunday afternoon. Who among the personalities I mentioned did it?
Based on the circumstances there, we really need to discover the facets of the case. Given all the circumstances there, I could not just judge who is the perpetrator of this. However, if it is Sunday and it happened at home, then we could sense that those people present at home might be responsible. But the totality of the case in the scenario should really be considered first in a in a particular complete course of trial or proceedings, Your Honor. You cannot just judge with a very shallow facts. We need intensive facts to adjudge the case, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. How do I address you?
Salex.
In what?
Salex, Your Honor. It's just okay for being personal.
Thank you very much. Very
Thank you very
enlightening.
much, Your Honor, too, for the opportunity.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless you too.
Thank you, Honorable Judge Ilao. Next to interview the candidate is Honorable Justice Jose Catral Mendoza.
Thank you very much, Attorney Tali. Uh, Good morning, Attorney Alibogha. Is that Sherlock Holmes Alibogha or Dr. Quincy
No
Alibogha?
problem, Your Honor. Good noon, Your Honor.
Did you not consider that the baker was the baker or the cook was preparing breakfast and he was killed in the afternoon?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes,
You
that is what.
consider that?
Yeah, because of the
Uh, that-
time when it is
oh,
happening. Yeah.
so there was no dispute as to the cause of death.
Mhm.
Oh, so in the facts given, who did it?
Not those people at home, because preparing breakfast like
In the
that.
afternoon, he was
Yeah, in the
preparing
afternoon.
breakfast. In the
Yeah.
morning, breakfast is for morning.
Serve in the morning, Your Honor.
He was killed in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I do not have the complete facts. I know you all teach legal medicine or what do you teach? Legal medicine or
Legal medicine, Your Honor,
yes,
special proceedings,
yes.
and
So
statutory construction,
so you
and
watch
thesis writing.
so you watch Kinsey Adams. Do you know that series about
No, Your Honor.
no? Oh, it's a medical technologies. Oh no,
Yes.
he's a doctor.
Yeah.
What will I ask you? My colleagues ask you a lot, and your answers could fill a book.
Thank you for the compliment, Your Honor.
Uh, Sige, I will just limit my questions. Uh, you know the case of no. You own a review center.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes,
But
and
not now. I relinquish
not
my right.
now. Oh, not now. Oh, you surrendered you sold
My shares.
your shares.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ah, okay.
Because I don't want a conflict of interest while I'm teaching here.
Do you so you consider yourself now if you are appointed in the lab, will there be a conflict of interest?
There is no conflict of interest, Your Honor, because if given a chance to be a part of Legal Education Board, I will resign from Central Philippine University, and I will not participate in any proceedings or discussions in case the College of Law of CPU will have some matters before the Legal Education Board.
Anyway, you have sold your shares in A1 Passers Review Center. Uh, have you read the case of Review Center Association versus Executive Secretary?
Yes, Your Honor, that was
Uh,
long time before when
yes,
Chen regulated the review center, Your Honor.
yes.
Aside
What
from
was the
the,
decision there?
Your Honor, pardon?
What was the decision there?
The decision there is that CHED has no jurisdiction in regulating review centers because there is no law, statutory enactment giving the CHED the right to regulate review centers in the Philippines. Having been given a business permit, for that matter, would suffice that a review center should exist legally, Your Honor.
A justice in that case wrote a separate concurring opinion that the PLC has the requisite authority or mandate under the PRC modernization law to regulate the establishment and operation of review centers. That is the PRC, not the
Mhm.
CHED.
Yes,
What
Your
can you
Honor.
say of this? Do you agree with that concurring opinion, separate
Yes,
opinion?
yes, Your Honor, I agree with that concurring opinion. It's because that giving of the examinations, board exams, and other regulations pertinent to regulation of a particular profession, okay, is within the jurisdiction of the Professional Regulations Commission and a specific board, regulatory board for that matter,
Okay, we
rather
go
than
to
the chair.
the bar review centers. Uh, does the Supreme Court or the LEB have authority to regulate the bar review centers?
Your Honor, they have no
Uh,
authority because there is no law and it is not within the powers and duties
what was
of the.
what did Justice Carpio said in the case of the review center with respect to bar review centers?
Yeah, with respect to the bar review centers, then
Yes. What
uh,
did Justice Carpio say?
I am not very familiar with the statements of Justice Carpio, Your Honor, to be honest,
Okay.
about that review center.
How about bar review centers? Do they have academic freedom?
No, academic freedom is granted only to academic institutions, Your Honor,
So
schools and
review
institutions.
center uh, is not an academic institution.
No, Your Honor, it's not an academic institution because the students graduated already from the institution and they are preparing to review elsewhere upon their choice.
Mm, okay. Uh, anyway, you explained yourself and already. Which is your preference? The the position of a legal education board member or chairman? Did you apply as chairman?
No,
No,
just a member, Your
just a
Honor.
member or a judge, a trial
Your
court
Honor,
judge.
Your
Which is
Honor,
your
since
preference?
I prefer to be in the legal education board because I am in the academe and I have rich academic experience
No, I
about
see.
reforms and curriculum development for that matter, particularly in nursing education and in the study of law too.
I see. What did you not cover earlier? I forgot. No. In your essay, you wrote the principles, or you're suggesting the principles of whole person education. Can you enlighten us on this?
Okay. Your Honor, whole person education is an educational pedagogy that develops the person holistically in terms of intellectual, spiritual, mental, cultural, ethical, moral, and all facets of one's personality. It is the cultivation of mind and formation of manners and skills that prepares a person for a lifelong journey towards their practice of his or her profession or professional life. Whole person education is not just anchored on epistemology or ontology of knowledge, but also on axiology about values, of morality and ethics, and of course, pragmatic, which would take into consideration the component of Bloom's taxonomy on cognitive, affective, as well as a psychomotor component of teaching and learning experiences of the student. It is a pedagogy whereby students are not just trained about the narratives of law, but it will prepare the student for the social drama of life, for the holistic consideration of one's preparation for the practice of the legal profession, Your Honor.
How would you do this in the Legal Education Board?
In the Legal Education Board, I can introduce reforms by trying to revisit the curriculum of the study of law,
Yes.
enriching or enhancing them, as the case may be, by introducing in the course syllabi or course outline, or even some courses that will imbibe upon the students the moral, ethical, and the spiritual. I would like to introduce reforms like for every theoretical component of a substantive law, there must be the values component, the ethical component and practice, as well as the practical experience for that matter. I'm a believer of multi-learning. So multi-learning involves not only the physical aspect of law, tangible, but also the spiritual aspect of law that is intangible, as well as the process and how the substantive law will be applied in a surreal experiences of the students.
So you will be recommending the addition of certain subjects in law schools.
If there is a minimum standard of 152 to 168 units, Your Honor, it is just a matter of trying to dissect the unit component. If it is 4 hours, for example, we might allot 2 or 3 to theoretical instruction, and maybe 1 or 2 will be allotted to a practical experience where some sort of a simulation exercise where students are exposed to the social experiences.
Hmm.
Because as I have observed in the curriculum of law, we study the substantive law first, then integrate some procedural, but the practicum side and the clinical side for that matter, legal clinical side for that matter, is not really being emphasized.
Because not all will practice their profession, the law profession. Uh, Others, they just take law for promotion in their position, and others study law, so they will not be ignorant of it in the exercise of their business or other profession. Anyway, in Pimentel versus Leb, it was stated there that the state, in the exercise of reasonable supervision and regulation of their education, can only impose minimum regulations. Now, with what you have stated earlier, what does the court uh, mean by minimum regulations? It the state can only impose minimum regulations. Uh,
Yes, Your Honor, because of the academic freedom granted to academic institutions, you cannot subtract the minimum qualifications or the minimum standards, but you can add in the interest of quality assurance in total quality management. Schools are given the leeway not to subtract or diminish the minimum standards of the curriculum prescribed by the Legal Education Board, but they can enhance or enrich as long as that particular regulation is not qualifying, exclusionary, and restrictive, then it does not infringe upon academic freedom of academic institutions for that matter.
the three modifiers which you mentioned refers to the PhilSat.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Mhm.
in comparison with the NMAT.
Yes.
So you might have been interested there because you are in the medical profession also.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes,
your
Your
wife
Honor.
is a doctor,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you are a nurse, lawyer,
Yes, Your Honor.
but you agree that you can be a doctor by this the our in the law profession.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think you advocated that, uh, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor. In my
Ah,
essay,
yes, yes,
I
yes. In your
agreed to the
essay,
left that Juris Doctor or Bachelor of Laws is a professional doctorate degree. But there is a safety
anyway, I
net.
have read your reason. I have read your reason, and so anyway, I've read your reason there. Uh, if you're up to now, you finish your masters only. You're not yet a doctor
I am planning to enroll my Doctor of the Science of Jurisprudence, Your Honor, at San Beda.
at some beta.
Mm. After this pandemic.
So you and your wife will be doctors.
Thank you.
Si Attorney Aliboga, that will be all. I'm adopting the questions of my colleagues. I thank you for your time, and you
Thank
are
you very
excused.
much.
You
Thank you
are
very much,
excused.
Your Honor. God bless and keep safe.
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Justice Mendoza, and thank you, Attorney Alibogha, and good luck.
Thank you very much to the panel members and everyone. God bless and keep safe.
Okay. Thank you
Can I
very much.
leave the room now?
No,
Request
Yes, you may.
permission?
no,
Yes,
you
you may.
stay there. if, if you do not leave, we'll ask more questions.